I'm curious as to how you characterize this jobs report. It would seem to me that depending on your view of monetary policy, this is either a fine report or a report that is showing some danger signals.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Bonnie. And I agree with your characterization that this report was mixed. Now, I think that the 145 total payrolls gained in December, that was a little bit weaker than consensus, but there's, probably some quirks going on with the data because of how the Thanksgiving fell on the calendar this year. So actually we're more focused on the aggregate hours numbers in this report. And actually they looked quite a bit weaker than they did in November. So you had some weakness there, and in addition, you had some downward revisions. So aggregate hours growth now looks like it's running at below 1%, versus in November when it looked like it was running at 1.5%. So I think overall, this report suggests to us that, U.S. growth, is slowing, and it does continue to slow. Because remember, aggregate hours growth is a building block of broader GDP growth, because, it's really about how many hours we work as an economy and how productive we are.
Tiffany, Alan Ruskin is saying this morning it's the perfect employment report for the Fed to continue to run hot. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're looking at the wage growth. Wages have actually looked like average hourly earnings growth on a year-on-year basis looks like it's actually, it peaked earlier in 2019, and now it's down to 2.9%. And I think what's happening here is that as you have profit growth that is decelerating, corporates are, cutting back on investment, but they're also cutting back on labor costs. They're not necessarily doing it by really pushing the brakes on the pace of hiring, but they're cutting back hours, and they're kind of holding back on wage increases. And I think we're seeing that in average hourly earnings. That just gives the Fed more runway. Certainly the argument for hiking rates because of inflationary pressures just isn't there right now.